All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to this. We have a special guest with us today. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi.
So we have Leumas with us here today.
Hey, what's up?
And Leumas. Hey, Leumas is a pretty well-known Wikigrisser YouTuber and streamer. He's a pretty high-tier player in both PvE and PvP. So it's going to be interesting to talk about what we have today. Today we're going to talk about the newest Chinese patch that just came out, and oh boy, this is a really interesting patch because there's a lot of really interesting new stuff coming out from it. So let's just not waste any time. Let's just jump right into it. I think let's just start right with the more interesting character, I think, which is the first new SSR healer that we've gotten since Wheeler, which is just a real. Yeah, it's they seem to hold back a lot on adding new healers to the game, so it's interesting that we're finally getting a new one, and she does look very unique, very different from all the other healers that we've gotten so far.
I mean, like, I think a large part of that is, like, name one bad healer.
Anna.
She can't even heal. But it's like, you know, like, I think that the worst healer is, like, probably, like, a C+ unit. So healers really define the meta strongly, so I think that's why they try to, not introduce a million healers, because that would I think those are kind of some of the biggest meta shifters.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing I like about this game, is that usually they do try to make every character unique or have some kind of interesting gimmick that's all their own. Mm-hmm. But with healers, they do seem to go the extra mile. So this new healer, Florentia, is a character from Wikigrisser Reincarnation. Up until now, the Reincarnation faction has not had a healer or a tank, so they finally have a pure healer. I mean, they've had Licorice, who was sort of an off healer.
Yeah. Also, major glow up for Florentina. Like, her art in game is like really, really bad.
Oh, you mean the original art, or
yeah? She looks like 12, and now it's like, okay, I see you.
All right, first expert gameplay opinion from Leumas here. He approves of the Zalone redesign of Florentia. So interesting. A selection of factions for Florentia. She has Empire, Strategic, and Reincarnation. Reincarnation is sort of a given. The other two are pretty fit the character, but what I think is interesting is that they've said before that they want to try to power up the non-meta factions, namely not Legend, not Origin, and I guess probably not Mythical at this point, because Mythical is pretty crazy at this point.
Something Boomer Lando.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So Empire and Strategic faction are both two factions that are not used too often, and they sort of, I guess they really, really wanted this character to really power up these factions, because this character is very reliant on using a faction buff.
Yes.
So she comes with a new game mechanic, as it were. So she has she starts the battle with 5 sort of I call them stratagems, but they're basically a separate point counter. And what they allow her to do is to just use an extra skill at the end of her turn. So she can actually cast 2 skills per turn as long as she still has these points left over. And she will recover 2 of these points every single turn if she has a faction buff with a special effect on it. So, it can't be a generic SR buff. So, screw you, Lance. That's pretty much what this is saying. Yeah, I mean, do you have any initial impressions on this character, Leumas?
Yeah, I mean, the stat breakdown is super interesting because she effectively has the lowest HP in the game. The only unit that's sort of like remotely close is Weiler and Arges. But the Imperial Chancellor class has by far the highest int in the game by a good margin.
Yeah, that intelligence is pretty crazy, although she does not have... she doesn't have any inbuilt healing power, or she doesn't have an offensive soldier spread. So I don't know if this is going to matter for offensive purposes, but it does power up her heals significantly.
Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting because you look at, like, Yulia has the 4th highest int, and she has 20 lower int, and Ren's second at 581. So 581 is actually really, really high.
So any thoughts on this so far? S2, Frontier? You guys have any thoughts?
No.
I'm pretty fog about this. I just hope I don't roll that other girl.
Well, we'll talk about her in a second. So I actually got to play around with this character a little bit on my Chinese account. They have a new-ish feature on the Chinese server, which I'm pretty sure they'll bring over, which is that you actually get to test drive the characters now. There's like a little mini mission where you can go in and just like screw around with the character a little bit.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so I got to use her for a little bit, and the feeling I get is that her healing output is actually kind of unimpressive. That's my first impression of her. when you really look at her skills, she does have the basic heal, unlike Wheeler, but she doesn't have some kind of crazy like AoE heal. She has a sort of a mass heal variant that also gives a regenerate sort of effect. But aside from that, she has a lot of support spells. She has mass attack, she has mass resist, she has shield. She also has like a number of attack spells that also heal, which are kind of similar to Young Jessica's like Big Nuke. So they attack and heal at the same time.
I think it's kind of common with all the strat healers. You look at her, you look at Wyler, you look at Imelda. Individually, their healing output is kind of unimpressive, to say the least. Now, there are kind of asterisks to that, but their value in their healing kit comes a lot more with kind of what are the additional things they do. So Wyler obviously has a very diverse kit. Imelda is like the buff goddess, and I would say that Florentina kind of is in the middle between those two.
Yeah, I think she has more consistent healing output than Wheeler and Imelda. For a prolonged fight, I think she'll be slightly better, but I think she's still very much designed to be a very rush-oriented healer, especially because of the extra spells that she gets at the end of her turn. So, which only one of which is a heal. So she gets 5 points to begin with, and they actually cost a different amount. She has 3 different skills that she can do at the end of her turn. The first one is called Reinforce. It costs 1 point, and it will recover 70% of a soldier HP, not the entire unit, but just the soldier, and it will also increase their soldier's attack by 10%. The other one is one of the other ones is it costs 2, and it will increase that target unit's movement equal to 5 minus whatever their base movement is. So basically it turns that unit into a 5 move unit. At base, of course. I mean, if they have Breeze, then they'll still have 7 move or whatever. And then the final one is Raid, which is Act Again, which is basically just Act Again. It does not heal, however. It's not like Liana's where the Act Again actually heals. This is just a straight Act Again.
But you can combine that with regular heal, and then that, and that would actually probably heal more than Liana.
If I recall right, Act Again itself heals, 1.5, I believe?
Yeah, because, regular heals is 5x, so...
Yeah, so Liana with her Act Again, and then she does a talent heal, which heals a decent amount, but yeah, if she does a normal...
2.5, or is it 2?
Yeah, if she does a normal heal and then Raid, yeah, you can...
Plus, Liana has, like, the lowest hit in the game.
Oh yeah, there's that too. And the other thing is that Florentia, because she can actually save up to 10 points, she could potentially Act Again 2 turns in a row, which does sound pretty crazy. Although obviously you have to like sort of sit around and wait for like 4 turns before you charge up that many. But yeah, can you think of any PvP situations where you think she might outshine some of the healers we already have? Because like you said, the healers we have in the game are already really, really powerful. She does have an uphill battle against the other healers.
I mean, I think you kind of nailed probably her biggest feature is that she can do back-to-back Act Agains, which can absolutely win you a match, undoubtedly. I think she's similar to Wyler in the sense that, her 15% attack bonus is not great, but she gets the soldier stat increase. So at 6-star, her soldier attack is now 40. Plus her HP base, she has wizards, which aren't garbage, Sky Archers. So she actually has some decent options here. But, having Forest Priests will be good for debuffs. Debuff removal. Having both Mass Attack and Mass Resist makes her very easy to slot in to a lot of boxes. And I would actually think she should probably be pretty competitive. Due to her Act Again ability, I could actually see a number of players considering her over Liana.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if I would take Liana out personally, but I could see for a rush type player, that's potentially a move you can make because it's not like her debuff removal is bad, her support kit. I think she's pretty easy to slot in. Although it would be a lot easier for a 4 healer box than a 3 healer box. I think Wyler is pretty entrenched. I'd say Iris is pretty entrenched, so I think she's probably competing for a 3rd or 4th spot with Liana.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point because the times I've tried to use Liana in a rush sort of strategy, I actually realized that Liana is actually pretty bad for a very aggressive playstyle.
Yep.
So, because she also doesn't have any damage increasing abilities. She just has the act again.
She does have Gospel, but...
Yeah. Florentia does have a number of offensive-oriented skills. I kind of like the theming here because a lot of her skills involve powering up soldiers in some way, which is sort of goes back to her tactician theme. So she's not just like powering up the hero; she's kind of powering up the entire army almost.
Yeah.
She also has some offensive spells. Do you have any thoughts on those? Because this is kind of interesting because like one of them is kind of like a sleep spell, where it's like it targets one specific unit. It doesn't stun them or anything, but it makes it so that their soldiers can't attack.
Oh well, you could definitely do a meme. Teleport her in and stop Omega in his tracks.
I mean, you mentioned that her soldier bonuses are actually quite good, so you can actually make her both offensive and defensive depending on what soldiers you choose. So she has wizards and sky archers to be offensive if she really wants to. She can also be tanky with things like exorcists, possibly even Amazons. I think Amazons are decently tanky just from the fact that they're lancers.
Yeah. The one interesting thing though is, and I would assume based on the verbiage that her Plan for Victory passive would count if summons die. It could actually be an interesting way to combat some of the myth boxes that are coming out, because if every time a summon dies, you have your own soldier stats increase, that's really, really good.
That's actually a really interesting point. Yeah. There's definitely a lot of summons flying around, both because of Yusuke and Rin, and just the mythical faction in general has a lot of summoners. Yeah, so S2, Frontier, you two have been kind of quiet in the background here. You guys want to add anything?
I'm just chilling. I'm not sober.
I don't do that much PvP, so I just use Leon to practice again. So I have no rush strategy, so I have no background to discuss on this topic.
Well, you can also take a look at her and think about how you might use her in PvE. That's fine too, because I think. Like strategic faction, especially, like I don't think they had a particularly strong PvE healer.
I will say that if I do pull her, then my ultimate Mueller will be happy.
Yeah, her the Plan for Victory passive does. I feel like even though you mentioned summons, I when I first saw it, I actually thought it felt more PvE oriented because usually in PvE is where you end up having a lot of enemy units die.
Yeah, no, I mean I can see that. I don't see much use for her in specialized PvE. And if you're doing like Timeless Trial, or if you're doing just almost anything else, it's just like why wouldn't you use TRS or something more conventional? I mean, potentially there might be some challenges where you could use her for some sort of specific cheese type strat, but I mean, like I think that the existing healing options are basically as ideal as possible for PvE.
I guess the one thing I would wonder, since you are definitely a top-tier Ancient Beckoning player. Do you have any thoughts on her using her in Sleipnir?
Absolutely not.
Okay. You don't think she could replace one of the healers in Sleipnir strat?
Well, because, I mean, ideally you're only running one healer, and that's Iris, and Iris's healing output plus her ability to teleport herself is just unparalleled for that, so there's no way I think that Florentina breaks into any sensible Sleipnir team.
Alright, so you got any final beliefs on this character, Lewis?
She looks interesting, and I think she'll be pretty fun. And she's definitely the prize of this banner.
Throwing shade at Tsubame early here. Okay, S2, you have any thoughts?
Are
you still drunk, S2?
Empire looks pretty good right now. And Reincarnation, not gonna lie.
Alright, how about you, Frontier? Do you think you'd be interested in this character when she comes along in like 6 months?
Probably not, just because of the other character in the banner.
Oh, is it because you don't want her? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's more of like the 50-50 chance of you getting the unit that you want. Probably around the time when it comes out, I'm going to be poor.
I mean, the thing is that Florentia actually requires Tsubame for her defense mod.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to suggest. Like, gotta have her for the attack, for the increase to get more heals.
Alright, if you guys don't have anything else you want to add, I guess we can move on to the next character. Alright. So you're throwing some shade at her very subtly earlier, Lewis.
Yeah, I mean, one look at her, and I already know in about 4 or 5 months, main core is going to be asking, "Hey, will this character replace Sarada?"
Bruh.
Well, just like with Florentia, I really like the theming here. She looks like a lot of fun to play around with. But yeah, I looked at her skills and I was not impressed. She looks decent, but
I read her talent and I go, hide and seek. You're missing the other half here.
I mean, I do kind of like the concept where you just cannot target her at all once she's hiding.
I mean, I'll put it this way: even if she didn't have that, I probably would treat her like she's hiding anyways.
I guess one of the problems right now. I mean, I guess it's because of the box I play. I'm still really scared of assassins running around and killing my squishy units. It doesn't look like Tsubame has any particularly strong attacks. She just has the standard Shadow Raid. I mean, she does have her own 3-cost skill, which is slightly stronger. But it doesn't. Yeah, she doesn't seem like she has a lot of unique things to offer. The thing that everybody seems to focus on is her silly teleport spell, where you teleport through people and then steal their buffs, which is really funny, but seems very doesn't seem that useful in practice.
Yeah, you're gonna steal something stupid like Triton.
Yo, can you imagine stealing Luna's 3C? That'd be kind of funny.
Yeah, you can still win God Realm. Yay.
Yeah, but then you're behind the entire enemy team, and you have no one to move boost.
Yeah, I've seen D-Hearts and stuff try to steal win God Realm before, and it has done a couple things. I mean, it can be pretty funny when that happens, but it's usually pretty hard to plan around doing
you're
something
gambling
like
way too much.
When D-Hard does that, he's on the right side of the team. You're behind the entire enemy team now. Your entire team is on the other side. Wow, how is Wind God helpful?
I guess you can't. I guess if they're trying to rush you, you sort of stop them.
Gross.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about this character. She just seems very generic. Aside from a couple, a small bag of tricks that she has, she seems like a very generic assassin.
I have trouble seeing how she's that much better than even Silverwolf, to be honest.
She does have the same exact classes as Silverwolf. I mean, I would imagine that she has much higher stats than Silverwolf. And her hide talent is kind of interesting. You can walk up to an opponent's team without fear, assuming you ban pick correctly. But right now, there's so many AoE boxes that it just kind of screws Tsubame over before she was even out.
Yeah, I mean, at least she has 40% attack.
Yeah, she has very very lopsided soldier bonuses. She's just very much a mage killer type of bonuses there. Alright, you got any thoughts, S2?
I was really hyped for her initially, but
Are we ruining your day, S2?
no, actually, I kind of realized how she was for this, but
You're just kind of trailing off there. Okay, Frontier, any thoughts on this little ninja girl?
Adding more to the lolly squad. That's the only thing I can say.
It looks like you need to update your FBI open up tier list, Leumas.
I do. I'm gonna add Frontier to that one now.
Big Dick Energy tier list is also long overdue for an update.
I know. It's all in my head. I just need to actually get motivated and make it.
Do we have their Echo of Light skins?
Yeah, I've actually posted it several times in Discord before. I can show you later.
Oh,
I'll put it in the video too.
Okay, good. I don't.
Well, everybody's going gaga over Florentia's Echo of Light skin.
Like Deedlit's.
It's a bunny girl costume.
Oh, I see now.
Okay, so since we're done with the characters now, I guess we can move on to the 3-cost skill, which again are very interesting choices this time, and I think they're all pretty good at least. Although one in particular I think is kind of weird.
So I'll say at the top, I disagree with that assessment.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think one is really, really good, one is situationally okay, and one's actually pretty bad.
Okay. So let's just start with Alustriel's 3-cost skill, which I personally think she's the winner this time.
Absolutely.
With the 3-cost skill. It's very, very good. I mean, Alustriel was already a really good unit, and this just makes her even better. This is what Emerald's Crusher should have been.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's not much to say here because like Emerald Crusher's problem was always that.
I'm looking at it. Dang, that's that's
Okay.
Yeah.
So the thing about Emerald Crusher that was always a problem was that it's like you had to transfer your debuffs onto the enemy to get a damage boost, which was always like, okay, I'm not gonna do that. But this is just like, this converts 2 buffs on the target into debuffs, and then you get more damage from doing that. It's just nothing but upsides. It's insane.
I'm gonna have to use her now.
Every time they give Alustriel something new, it's like OP as shit. Like I don't get it.
Yeah, her helmet ignores guard and then gains 20% HP. Damage.
Hey, you know what? Like, Zilon seems to be very nice to their OC Donut steals, okay? Like, Alustriel, she got all kinds of crazy tools. I mean, Yulia had her own story arc in the main story, okay? And Yulia was just insane for a while. I imagine, like, Yulia's 3-cost skill is just gonna be stupidly broken when it comes
She's
along.
gonna come back in meta. Oh, good.
Wait, since when is Landius a OC character by so long?
Since Old Landius.
I'm so excited for his
Hey,
strategic.
Landius is so special that they had like a shipper on staff made his favorite ship in Langrisser for official.
Yeah.
He had the power.
No, seriously, like it's like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think there's really not a lot to say about Alustriel's 3-cost skill. I mean, it's just really good. It's just lots of damage. And it even gives her a forest tile after she's done.
Yep. Like, I'm struggling to think of like a 3C that's better for any unit. This is like a top 3. Well, Juggler. I think that's honestly a top 3C.
Well, I guess one thing I will say about it is that this does not change the way she plays, whereas Juggler's 3C completely changed the way he was played.
And, like, Weiler's is really good, but there's one OP strategy to counteract it. It's called backing up and waiting until it goes away.
Yeah. Alright, I always banned Alustriel early, and this is going to reinforce me to do that even harder. Yeah, do you guys have any thoughts?
You have 6 months. You have 6 months to build her.
Yeah, I'm about to say that. I'm gonna build her now.
The strategic faction is looking pretty good at this point. I mean, especially with that lets us segue into our next 3-cost skill, which is Lanford. Okay, we got Lanford's 3-cost skill, which you said that one of them you think is situational. I'm assuming you mean this one.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this is a good 3-cost skill.
Yeah.
But not amazing. The command. So this command, it says like it makes sure all your allied units that are under Lanford's talent are also immune to stab debuffs, but only if they're a mixed unit. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, being immune to stab debuffs is very powerful. It's basically a free Overlord badge.
No, it's basically a free gospel.
I wonder if it extends to damage debuffs. My guess is no.
The way I was reading it, I'm assuming no. But yeah, I mean, the command is definitely situational, I agree with you, but I think the attack portion is... I mean, this is easily Lanford's best attack.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can imagine in some situations you would still want to bring maybe Chivalry plus Javelin, and maybe Faction Buff on top of that, but I think this is a quite a good 3-cost skill. I think Lanford players will be bringing this most of the time, actually.
Yeah, I'd probably agree. And, I mean, like, the strategic faction right now, I actually think it's probably a low-key, like, top 5 faction. Mm-hmm. You have an absurd amount of units now that are, like, really good. Like, you have Alustriel, Asram's actually awesome. Kurama's low-key good. Lanford, you just need a stat buff, so whatever, and Alti sucks. Leon's great, Luna's great, Mr. Knight's great, Weiler's great, Rainforce is great, Imelda's great, Olivier's great, Vargas is not bad. Like, it's a surprisingly strong faction. It's very underrated right now.
I would say the strategic faction's biggest problem is still that they don't have a very strong central tank.
Yeah, and both their buffers kind of suck.
I mean, like, Lanford's with this 3-cost skill, Ultimate is just in the corner shaking his fist at him.
Seriously.
It's like, I mean, as far as tanks go, like, Vargas, I mean, their physical tanks are great. You know, Vargas and Serena are both very, very hard on the physical side, but I guess not having a magical tank is definitely a liability these days.
Yeah. And I mean, like the nice thing for strat though is that like the meta tanks are self-sufficient, so you can run strat plus Landius or strat plus juggler. But
yeah, I was just thinking how Lanford would sacrifice Shiv over his faction buff, but it would be like a really situational mixed team, strategic team. But you already see that already with Margus with his Cyclops, and especially with Alustriel with his own dinos.
I mean, I think like the ideal Lanford situation, he's basically a giant stat totem, and you don't need Shiv to be a stat totem.
Yeah. So you basically can sacrifice literally Shiv and replace him as something like a support unit, but on the side.
I mean, think about this. Like, a lot of people run full moon on Landius just so he can survive stuff. Just this. And that's 10% extra stats on attack and defense. Lanford, just by standing gear, gives 15% to all your stats. I mean, I think people have taken like joke screenshots before of Landius under both Full Moon and Lanford, and he's like 1300 defense.
Oh, mine has over 2k attack.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how buff you can make your characters when you're standing under Lanford.
Yep.
I mean, if you run him like Tree of Life, you could probably get like a 1400 defense Fargus.
Tree of Life on Lanford.
I'm serious. Like, if you're gonna stat totem him, you might as well.
All right.
Make some tankier.
Yeah. Frontier, any thoughts?
No, I've never really used him, but I own him.
Well, if you use Altamuller, and if you're interested in a strategic faction, I think Lanford is definitely a character you should be looking at.
I actually want to look at him right now.
Okay.
Strategic faction looks really, really good with Reincarnation and Empire.
Probably the reason I didn't use him is I made him sword, and I had Leon, so it was always Altamuller and Leon just going after everything, and then
in PvE, like Yeah, for PvE, a lot of people were just using the Leon Altamuller combo to choose a bunch of stuff for a long time.
Yeah.
Lanford mixes well, though. Like, I use him for challenges, because I'll use either Legend or Strat for challenges, and he goes with both.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to switch him and use him now.
I'm kind of thinking, do you think Lanford should still be ran as infantry?
Yeah, because the stats are so much better.
Yeah, the stats are just straight better. It has a better hard bond. The only thing you really get from Royal Knight, I believe, is you get one extra move, because you should be probably using Apex Boots.
Yeah, and since
class.
you're not running Shiv, you're probably gonna be like Landius, where you're just standing there with your command skill, relaxing.
Again, if you're a stat totem, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. But I think with this attack, 1.6 times damage, critical hit rate increased by 20%. I mean, I think he can definitely contribute to killing the tank. I think even killing the tank, I think he can help a little bit.
I mean, I very much look forward to people attacking with their Landius or Lanfords and not killing anything.
I mean, the thing right now is that a lot of people run very few healers in the box, and you can sort of overwhelm someone's tank if you attack them enough times. And if Lanford can chip away the last rights and they can't heal back up to full, then you could just use whoever you have left to kill Juggler.
Yeah, but I could use the Tsubame and just hide and then attack the tank and accomplish the same thing.
Yeah, but Lanford is a stat totem.
No, I mean, like, he can definitely finish off damaged units, but he's not no offensive force on his own.
Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He's also great in AB, something that you would never bring this 3C to.
That's a good point. Yeah, you probably wouldn't bring you. I mean, he's for Nidhogg and Sleipnir.
Yep.
But he's not that good for Sleipnir, right? Because he doesn't have, aside from Javelin, I don't think he has.
He's great for Sleipnir.
Oh, really? Okay.
Increasing your own stats. I mean, like, I waltz in, my Leon has almost 3k attack.
All right. I guess the only problem I have with Lanford in Sleipnir is that he doesn't, as I recall, he doesn't have a move again skill aside from Javelin.
No, so he has Shiv and he has Javelin that can attack from range. So the way around that is just have a really strong team so you kill really fast.
All right. that's Leumas' recommendation for all you scrubs out there. Just have lots of stats, and you won't be a problem.
No, but in all seriousness, because you can. So basically, you get a free turn with Javelin, and then I mean, ideally, you're killing on the moving phase within about 2 or 3 turns. So you can go on the second turn, smash him, and then he gets another attack, and then on the third, if it takes you 3 turns, you're killing on the third turn. So it doesn't matter if he attacks from melee.
All right. Do you guys have any final thoughts on Lanford's 3-cost skill?
We got time to talk about when Lanford's gonna come, which is Valentine's banner, so we don't know when that's gonna come.
I mean, if they follow the Chinese schedule, we're going to get those very soon, actually. Although, like, Lanford is running alongside Knight of Mystery, which I think a lot of people did not pull for yet. Yeah, because Knight of Mystery has not been on an SD banner yet, and only people who were looking to build her in the first place would have pulled for her, I think.
And, like, in retrospect, I'm surprised people did not hype MK as much as she, I think, probably deserved to.
I think people definitely said, like, when she was first revealed on Chinese server, people did say, like, MK looks like a really powerful, like, magical Leon. But I don't think people realize that the implications of that, because hitting on magic defense is so powerful in this game right now.
But even ahead of her global release, I feel like people were like, she's good, but I mean, like, I think I feel like she should have had more hype. Like, I feel like people are honestly hyping Shrinka more than I remember people hyping MK. And MK is
We're hyping Tsubame way more than fucking him.
I don't go on main court anymore, so.
Frontier and I talked about Shalinka a little bit back, and yeah, Shalinka was one of those like fad characters, which I mean, she's not terrible or anything. She is good, but she like MK is so much better in terms of general usage.
MK is always good. Shrinka is extremely situational.
Yeah. I ban Knight of Mystery very early anytime I see her. She's very dangerous. Alright, well, if you guys don't have anything else to add, we can move on to the final 3-cost skill, which I definitely think is the dead of this patch. Although I kind of scratched my head as to why they gave Deedlit a 3-cost skill in the first place. She really did not need one. Out of all the Lotus Sword characters, why give it to Deedlit instead of? I mean, even Ashram would like a nice 3-cost skill. I mean, Pirates and Parn, they got screwed over so bad. Give them a nice 3-cost skill. Although if they are going to give a 3-cost skill of this quality, then sure, give it to Deedlit. So this 3-cost skill, I mean, when you first look at it, it might look pretty good, but then you think about like how you would slot it in, and then you realize that it's actually not that good. Do you have any thoughts on this?
I mean, you said exactly what I was going to say. It's the opportunity cost of not running both Sea of Miracles and plus Gospel plus an attack is too high. This is a
spaghetti.
I would not say it
Spaghetti.
because I actually started using Deedlit today, earlier, and I have found some matches where I am using accelerated aid, and I imagine in those cases I would definitely be bringing Elven Dance over Elven Aura.
I guess.
And there's a couple nice things about it. I mean, I will say like the passive portion of this 3-cost is pretty much worthless because, I mean, the nice thing about Gospel is that you cast it and then you walk away. Deedlit is not a character who sticks next to someone and then constantly gives them this buff, and it's not even that useful anyway because
no, it's a bad buff. It's a trap. People are like, oh, she can give my entire team Gospel. It's like, nah, that's not. Think about it.
I mean, yeah, because if it lasted 2 turns, this would be OP.
Oh,
but
yeah.
like, if this lasts 1 turn, so you put it on, you walk, and then it's gone. So the only impressifier I think is the attack, which is pretty much very, very similar to Elven Aura. The only real difference here is that first is that it allows her to move again after attacking, which is kind of useful. The other thing is that I believe it only gives the Forest Aura to herself. So pretty much this is what you might use this if you are running Juggler.
I mean, I run Elven Aura with Juggler anyways. Positioning's OP.
Yeah.
That too. Alright, S2, any thoughts on this 3-cost?
No, because I don't use Deadwood, sorry.
You don't include filthy elves in your box?
It's not part of my kink. It's not part of my Harlem, sorry.
Alright, how about your Frontier? You've been sharding Deedlit. Do you have any thoughts on this 3-cost?
It looks good, but like, I agree with his opinion, Lewis. It's just, I I would just use the other 2 skills. Yeah, that's what I've been doing when I have her at 4. I'm almost at 5 stars right now.
Yeah. Deedlit's standard set is pretty much Gospel, Sea of Miracles, and an attack. It's very, very hard to shift away from that skill set. I mean, to be fair, like, this is sort of how 3-cost skills should have been designed, where it's like, sometimes I want to take it, and sometimes I don't. But instead, they just made a bunch of 3-cost skills stupidly broken, so now people just want the 3-cost skills to be insane, and this is not one of them.
That's a fair point. Yeah, I know. If they kind of made it more of like a, hey, like, this is a good skill, but, you know, you need to sacrifice something out of their regular kit versus, like, hey, run this and their other LP shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a bad 3-cost skill at all, but it is very, very situational. You will not be running this very often.
Okay.
Alright.
Well, let's look at the equipment.
Alright, finally we can move on to the equipment that they added this time, which is not as impressive as the rest of the patch, I think, because, well, first off, they gave a helm to Oliver, who nobody uses, except as a joke.
Hey, he's gonna be OP. I'm not kidding.
I believe he is actually reaching 6 stars this patch in China. They just released the final chapter, I believe, of the Langrisser 4 Time Rift, so we'll also be seeing that in about 6 months ourselves.
Nice.
So this Oliver's helm, I don't like it very much. Even if you're going to use Oliver, I don't like it very much, because my problem with it is that it steals... So this says after scoring a critical hit, inflict 1 debuff and steal 1 buff. The only thing I don't like about this is that it happens after battle. You know, when you compare this to... I mean, Oliver's talent steals a buff before battle if he has more skill. And of course he also has Plunder, which steals buffs after battle. Generally speaking, stealing buffs before battle is obviously much, much better, which is why D-Hard's Calamity is such a good skill. This helm is... I mean, I guess it's a nice bonus, but... I don't know if I would want to replace King's Crown or something with this thing, even if I was using Oliver.
Hey, you can do the meme, I'm gonna steal all your juggling buffs.
Just use Plunder on
I
juggling.
can see it work really well with rush teams where they don't use Olivia for the hat. Like, they just literally just want Olivia. Wait. Holy shit! Are we talking?
It's Oliver, it's Oliver, not Olivier.
Dude, this is so bad! Why does he need a hat? Alright. Okay, we're good. Sorry, did I ever mention that I'm not sober?
Alright, well, do you have any thoughts on Oliver's helm, S2?
I mean, it just does what he does better. Doesn't really change much.
Frontier, I believe you don't even have Oliver yet.
I don't even have Oliver,
Okay.
so this means nothing to me.
Dude, the Frontier is basically your typical main core club.
Frontier is the everyman of this show, okay? Yeah, the only thing I find great about this is from a story perspective, because I think this is like Oliver made a crown for himself, which is really funny.
Sounds like something Moni would do.
What do you think, Frontier? You literally represent the people.
I represent the people. The people say still more buffs before battle.
Alright. People have spoken.
Shenanigans.
People have spoken.
Have more shenanigans.
Alright, well, the people probably don't care very much about Brenda, but let's talk about her anyway. Brenda got a body armor.
I have seen a single Brenda be used in my entire joint battles and everything since she released.
I have seen a Brenda in one box before, and then I banned her because I did not want to deal with her. But that's my story about Brenda.
I saw Brenda in auto chess.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Did she do anything, or did she die?
I got memed by Brenda once in auto chess.
All right, that's Leumas's endorsement of Brenda. Use Brenda in auto chess, which will totally be coming back.
No, I totally f***ed up because I deployed a Pharah, and then they deployed the Brenda across. The Pharah attacked Brenda twice, then Brenda attacked Pharah, and then unlocked her act again.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah, so Brenda's armor basically says when she triggers the act again in her talent, she will dispel 2 buffs from herself and get damage dealt plus 10%, damage taken minus 10%. And this only lasts 1 turn, so I think this is a very unimpressive armor for Brenda. Because Brenda's act again is so hard to trigger, you think they would have given something a little bit more powerful than this. This seems very underwhelming, even if you're someone that used Brenda.
Yeah, I would like to see Brenda heal some shit, get some recovery from the damage that she's gonna take.
Yeah, that was always one of Brenda's weaknesses, is that people always compared her to Elwyn before she came out, which is a fair comparison, but the thing about Brenda is that she does not have the sustain that Elwyn has. And this actually does not help with it. It actually, when her act again triggers, she's probably already injured somehow from attacking someone, so some kind of self-heal would have been nice. The damage taken and damage dealt is nice, and dispelling debuffs is okay, but where's the healing, Zilon?
Yeah, I think you guys hit the nail on the head. It just doesn't really synergize with her existing kit very well in theory. Like, I'm sure there's definitely going to be some sort of video where someone's like, well, look at my OP maneuver I did with my Brenda unique. And it's like, main court, stop it.
Congratulations, you used her one time out of 1,000 different varieties, and won.
It's like, you're Doctor Strange, you found the one out of the however many, so
Exactly, yeah. Good job.
The only thing I can imagine you using this with is like Rosalia's terrain. You put down Rosalia's terrain, and now Brenda can heal herself when she attacks.
Okay, so actually, in all seriousness, the only thing I can see this being really good for is Jormungandr.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, Brenda is Meteor Strike, so yeah, I think she can be useful in Jormungandr.
Yeah, although I think she's a top tier unit in Yorm, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I guess the only problem with it is that acting again will take a bunch of fixed damage if you don't have immunity to it.
Yeah, well, create Dragon Barrier or just give her Bracer.
Just give her Med Ring.
You don't have to have Bracer.
I'm working on it.
No, but she's actually very top tier because of her damage. Even like Nidhogg, I would say less so, but because her damage bonus is so high, she's actually very good for Jormungandr. So giving her more more stuff based around her act again, ideal.
Okay, Frontier, do you have any thoughts on this Brenda armor?
I don't even own her. Isn't she coming with the $20 grab bag with Yuli and Betty?
No, she's in the Legend one with Varash and Landia.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, I don't. I'm never gonna get her unless she has a focus.
She's actually. I believe she will be having a Destiny banner down the line.
Oh, then maybe, I guess, probably whenever this comes out in like the end of the year.
Yeah, I've said it before. I think Brenda is a good unit. She came out in a time where people were busy sharding other characters, and she didn't. But she does have pretty good factions, and she is quite a strong character.
She has excellent factions.
She's always a character I look out for. If I see her in a box, I'll definitely be careful because she is not to be underestimated. I guess final part, we can talk a little bit about some of the content they added with this patch. Most notably is one thing they've been teasing, which is a roguelike mode. I don't know if you guys have read about it or heard about it yet.
Which one was this?
Nope.
So they're adding a new mode that they themselves described it as like a roguelike mode.
Is that the pirate one?
Yes, it is the pirate
one.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
It's like it's basically a mode where it's a randomly generated dungeon, and you get a handful of characters, and you move through the dungeon and level them up as you go, and you get skills for them as you go.
I might be a boob man, but I will always look for booty.
So basically, in this mode, you get a bunch of randomly generated levels, and you can choose routes to go through. Although I don't think you can actually tell what are in the routes until you get into them. But basically, the routes have different things in them. They might have bosses, they might have a merchant, that sort of thing. You get, I believe, a random selection of characters to take, and they will learn random skills as you advance through the dungeon. You can also star sync the characters to your own characters. I believe you can do that 3 times. You gotta throw the whales a bone. you are only allowed to revive a certain number of times before you fail the dungeon entirely. It sounds like a very exciting new mode to me, like, because for a while now they've been adding way too many PvP modes in my opinion, and it's really nice to get a new style of PvE mode in this game. I mean, we did get Forbidden Battleground, but that one was a little bit, I feel like that one, they were just challenge maps, really. They didn't really introduce anything new, I feel like, but this sounds very fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you going to create some Leumas Pro strats for these?
Depends on how motivated I am.
Yeah, I mean, this mode is still not out yet on the Chinese server. When it comes out, I'll be sure to try to make a little video about it and introduce it a little bit. And I'm sure like other Chinese account players like Sweet Dango will also be talking about it. I guess I'll talk about the details when I actually play it. But the only thing that I want to mention right away is that you are not allowed to use Tiaris, Listel, or Matthew. Now, okay, so Tiaris I sort of get, and even Listel I sort of get. But why are they not allowing us to use Matthew in this mode?
Because they hate you specifically.
Yes, they hate me. I am the protagonist player. Everybody knows this. Have any thoughts on this roguelike mode that might be coming in like 6 months?
I look forward to it.
I'll try it out.
All right, I'll make it. Like I said, I'll make a video about it, and maybe you guys can check that out when it comes out. So okay, so I believe we have talked about just about everything there is to talk about. Do you guys have any closing thoughts on this newest Chinese patch that we got, or that China got rather?
No.
All right, Leumas, any thoughts?
Oh no, you're gonna get banned.
Well, I mean, I think the Alustriel makes my life harder, so maybe I should go finally go there. And everyone, go wear your masks. Fuck these people.
Yeah.
All right, stay safe, everyone. Thanks for joining us today, Leumas.
Yeah, no worries. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll see you all next time.
See you then.